feet together. Let's think about. So we spend hips tucked. Double check one thing. That. Okay. Sure this sounds good. It's bent, hips tucked, shoulders relaxed. Find your vertical. Out gazes backwards, palms parallel. Open the chest. Look over the shoulder. And back. Swimming dragon. Just follow the rhythm of your breath. Separating heaven and earth. Stretching, looking up. And back towards the center. Palms out. Stretching, looking up. And back. Horse stance. Again, it can be a fairly high horse stance. Just make sure that the hips are rounded. So hips are tucked. But also roundedness in the hips, in the hua. So now we're going to do so we're just trying to open up the entire body, get the whole body moving. So it's like parting the wild horse's mane. Back. So turn the foot to the outside. Spread the arms. So the palm is facing down. This palm, the upper palm is facing up. Come back, and every time we come back, we switch which hand is on top. Right, so just good. Get the body just moving. Bring the knees in line with the feet. So we turn the foot. Just gently waking up the body. Turning those hips. To center. So we'll do one another set. Nice and slow. Back to center. Turn the foot. Back to center. Oh. Center, walk the feet in. Now, turn forward. So starting, knees bent, hips tucked. And roll down. And come back up. Hands on kidneys, lean back. back to center. Knees bent, hips tight. And again. Straighten the legs. Roll down. Relaxing neck and shoulders. Come back up. Hands on kidneys, lean back. Back to center. And again. Straighten the legs. Roll down. Back up. Hands on kidneys, lean back. Back to center. Last time, rolling down, swinging from foot to foot to open up the hips. And again, straighten the legs. Roll down. Back to center. And unrolling. Hands on kidneys, lean back. And carry the tiger. Hold. And drop. From here, keeping the same intention as a bouncing exercise, we're going to shift So the weight is over a single foot, so in this case, my left leg, and then I'll turn to the diagonal. I'm just pivoting on the ball of the foot. So my knee is in line with my foot. This knee is in line with this foot. I'm just finding the balance. So I want to be in a place where I can pick up that front. Face front, feet parallel, shift, and turn. So we're sitting down, bending that knee, hips are tucked. There's no weight on the left foot in this case. And we're trying to find that vertical line connecting head to foot. And face front, and shift, and turn. So same thing, but this time we're going to pick up the foot. Knee is bent, so supporting leg is bent. Again, knees and feet are in line, hips are tucked, spine is vertical, neck is lengthened. And drop. Face front, shift, turn, find your vertical, pick up the knee. Hips are still tucked, knee is bent. And drop. Face front, shift, turn. Pick up the hands in. So this is the basic posture just on one foot. And drop. Face front, shift, turn. And drop. Face front. Now, cow gazing at the moon, palms out. And twist, keeping the hips square to the front. And release. Oh. Oh. Back to center. 9 ghost drawing sword. Arms behind the back, elbow to knee. And rise up. Then turn, look over the shoulder. Other side. Back to center. Now, play the pipa. Shift, turn. Forehead to the knee. And then rise up. Back to center. Horse stance. This time we're going to go lower, right, and push the knees apart. And sitting up. Bear shaking its tail to the right. And the other side. Looking over the shoulder. And coming back. This full twist of the spine. And sit. Heels on the ground, toes on the ground. Shift. And shift. Toes up. And shift. And back to front. Walk the feet in. All right. So before we go hit the 13 postures, let's take a look at the first Duan. Duan is just section. So the first section of the full empty hand forms. The full form is in 3 sections. First, second, and third Duan. Easy enough. And each section is actually quite different from the other because the first one is really when we first are introduced to Tai Chi as a martial art, really. And the 13 posture is more of an introduction to the basic principles that we'll be using. So I keep saying 13 posture is like learning the grammar, and the Duans is where we actually start using it in phrases. So the 13 postures is a very square little set of movements, right? We're always going, we're turning, we go from one direction, turn 90 degrees, 180, 90. We're doing it within a square, essentially. The first one is where we start going away from that, and then we're going to go in all sorts of different directions. Because basically, the first one, the Duans themselves, the form, are training us to be comfortable moving in any direction, making sudden changes of directions, going backwards to the side, And so that's where the training comes in. So, which is why you don't have the regularity of the 13 postures. You also start seeing variations on the 13 postures. So a lot of the moves in the 13 postures, like I said, are introductions to the core principles. Right? So you're going to have drag down. Right? In the Duans, you start seeing, well, what happens is you take that energy and instead of going straight down, you make it go sideways. They're all variations on principles that you've seen in the 13 postures, but now we're essentially making it a little more complicated. Right? We're adding complexity to all of it. That is the purpose of the first Duan. So you don't have to do it. It's a long journey from here to the end of the third Duan. It's something like 45 minutes of continuous movements if you do all 3 Duans in a row, depending on the speed that you're going. So it's not simple, but that's where you really get a taste for Tai Chi as it is meant to be as a martial art, essentially. So I'm going to quickly skim over it, just introduce you to some of the ideas. So for example, at the very beginning, we start same as 13 postures, but then we go to the diagonals. And here we do a drag down, but the hands stay high. Then shift, turn, drag down. All right. So already right there we have the first demonstration of how we can change things, how you can express. Because drag down would be here in 13 postures, but here in the first one, the very first thing we do is here. So we keep this drag down high and then a push. The push is also going high. We're striking with the palm to the face. But you can see though that immediately it's far more useful as a move because it's literally somebody throws a punch and you deflect and then you strike, right? So the whole move here is deflection, pull down, push. So somebody throws a punch, deflect. Actually, probably it can even be a punch low because there's also deflection here, right? Boom, deflect. You have the arm, yank and push. So, boom, boom. That's essentially what you're doing. So again, you're seeing. So first of all, we're going to the diagonal instead of a nice clean 90 degrees or 180 degrees. We're going to a diagonal. This is much smaller and faster, and it's already variational drag down. So, but it's still Tai Chi, so we're still doing it nice and slow, turning to the diagonal. My foot pivots on the ball of the foot, just pointing to the diagonal. Right? Boom. Pull down, rise up and strike with the palm of the right hand. Shift, turn, shift the weight. Turn facing the diagonal. Again, pull down, rise up and strike with the palm. Then circle the hands, and now we're going to sweep quarter of a turn so that now we're facing the 90 degrees. And we're going to do, instead of brush knee, think of it as brush elbow. Because now we're going here. So it's just like brush knee. So instead of brush knee low striking, we're simply going here, right? So again, showing the variations that we're going to start seeing. Some of them will be much more complicated, but this whole idea of brush knee that can also be done high, right? Elevated, I should say, to arm height. And he throws a punch, you deflect, and then you essentially wrap the arm around the opponent's arm and then come in and strike. Okay. We're not going to do the whole thing. It's just introduction to the beginning. We'll do more later. Rise up, strike, sit back down, turn, bring the foot to the cardinal, shift, turn to the diagonal, pull down, rise up and strike with the palm, sit back, circle the hands, sweep, and palm strike. And then step back, brush, point my hands behind my thigh, jabbing with a knife hand, then come in, knife hand again, turn, ward off. So this first move is where we really see how the logic of all of this works. So we did brush elbow, then step back, circle, separate the hands. So my left hand in this case is going on the inside, coming up, palm is up, right hand palm is down, and then I sit down and turn the hips, step out, and then jab with the left hand in this case, palm is up, right? And then I sit down, and as I bring the knee and the hand in, right palm comes up, shift the weight, jab. And then I turn, face the other way, ward off. So that move that we did right there is simply a variation on something we've seen in the 13 postures, which is play the pipa. So in the 13 postures, we saw after brush knee, play the pipa. And the idea is play the pipa as somebody throws a punch to your chest, to your face, you deflect. Okay. So you're sidestepping, turning. So that's part of the deflection. The arms are here, and then enveloping your opponent's arm, and then yank down, pull back to center, step out, and push. So this is against a strike to the upper body. But what happens if it's a strike to the lower body? Well, in that case, if we do this, there's no deflection. So what we have to do is this, right? Strike to the lower body. I still do the same stepping. So there's still that same evasion, but now my arm is going here. That's the deflection, right? So instead of deflection up, deflection low. So now the problem is we want to continue, right? Because the arms are going here or here. Now it's basically the same thing, except that now we're dealing with lower strike. So the question is, okay, so now I'm here deflected. I still want to have that same sense of enveloping and then using my elbow to yank down, pull to the side before I rise up and push. So how can I do that if I'm in this position? Well, in order to do that, I have to raise, see, I'm here. We're here, step, boom. So now I'm gonna have to raise my left arm. This hand comes down to control, right? Because I've blocked here, so there's an arm that's right here. So I'm gonna control that arm with my right hand, raise my left arm so that now my elbow can be in the crook of my opponent's elbow. So now I'm back on familiar grounds because it's just like in Play the Pipa. But now I'm gonna sit down and turn, right? So I'm hooking my elbow in the crook of my opponent's elbow, and I sit down and turn, which yanks them to the side. And then I step out, and then I rise up. And this is either, make a blade with your hand, jab them in the throat, but this can just as easily be a punch or whatever you want, right? The idea though is that there's a punch comes in, deflect, yank to the side, boom, and then punch them in the face as they get shoved to the side. So that's the idea. But notice that it's exactly the same principles, right? Roll back, yank, punch, or push. Roll back, yank, push. Same principles, doing essentially the same move, but because we're dealing with the lower body instead of the upper body, the arms are expressing themselves in a slightly different manner, but the quality of the energy is the same. Right? So that's the kind of variation that we're going to see throughout the first wall. Right? Looking at some stuff that we've already done, but basically asking the question, what if? What if the punch is low instead of high? What if it's high instead of low? What if the knee is out of range? Just deal with the elbow. All sorts of things like that. So now it becomes a conversation between the different situations that we might encounter, the basic principles that we've seen as described in 13 postures. So that's the thing. That's a cool thing to keep in mind. So as you do the first Duan, second, third, there's a dialogue that's happening, and it's not just memorizing like, okay, well, now I do this. This is in the second Duan. Okay, what? I go through the motion and memorizing the form. Every single step of the way, you can interrogate the form and go, okay, what what is this, right? What quality of energy am I expressing here and here, right? What is happening? What variation? Have I seen this before, but it's simply doing the same thing, but in a different direction? So the body has to be changed somehow to accommodate for this. So you can start really kind of interrogating the form. It's not just a sequence of movements that you're learning and you're just memorizing just because somebody told you to. It's a conversation that you're having with the form. It's a conversation because the form itself it's trying to tell you something. It's going, hey, look at this. You can do this, but if you do it this way, this is what happens, or this is how you can generate it, right? Or this is how, for example, there's all sorts of kicks. Well, how do you do press with the leg? Well, maybe that's the way it is. Maybe it's here, and that's a press with the leg, as opposed to a press with the arms. Because it's not a heel kick. It's not an axe kick. Right? It's very different. We'll see later, especially at the end of the third one, there's crescent kicks. There's all sorts of different kicks. But in the middle of the second one, we have here, it's a low kick that comes out here. That's press with the leg. So this is what I mean in terms of conversation. You can start kind of deconstructing. So let's go back. Let's do 13 postures and keep in the back of your head. Everything you're learning in 13 postures are principles. Not necessarily moves, they're principles. So you want to get really connected to that idea. All right, 13 postures. All right, and hold. Let's go straight to Celestial Tiger. So, do this 3 times. Raise the arms. Palms down. Palms up. Out. Palms out. Pointing up. Drop the arms up to the chest of the heavens. Reach back. Come to the front. Raise the hands above the head. Oh. Oh. Pull the hands over the belly. Feet together. Arms to the side. Take a bow. All right. See you next time, or check out Hidden Tai Chi for more. All right. Ciao.